The major plan for today, there goes my coffee. The major plan for the day is to work on the system which activates the pump for the freshwater cooling system. The engine is cooling just fine, but the system that I have in place that controls the pump on the freshwater side is not working as I had hoped. It uses a temperature sensor to activate it, and it seems that the detector on that sensor is relatively insensitive. And I wish we also had smell-o-vision. The coffee now smells good, so I'm looking forward to my first brewed cup on board. Although, of course, I have to find a place to store that thing when I actually go out to the lake. Although I don't think I'll take that with me on the actual adventure, although I'll have to check the usage of it. In that regard, I do plan to have a electric cooking utensil, a rice cooker, a small rice cooker that will consume up to 300 watts, but for cooking rice, it's about 80 watt hours, which isn't bad at all, really. And so I'll have 300 watt hours on the solar panel. So once I get the batteries charged in the morning, I'll cook up a pot of rice or beans, or rice and beans, and that will be the meal, or at least the a key component of the meal each day. So working things out one step at a time. So I definitely won't be taking this with me on the journey. That thing wants 1,000 watts of power to do its work. My inverter will only be 600 watts continuous, something a little higher as a peak. So that's out. I'm not going to support more than that. Another area of disappointment, or at least one area of disappointment so far this year, after emptying out my water tank from the winter cooling it and disinfecting it, I brought water, filtered water in for the tank. The water here in the marina is marked do not drink. And in spite of that effort of bringing in some fresh filtered water, it tastes terrible. So in fact, worse than it did last year, so I may need to do multiple cleaning cycles, something to freshen it. It's only been in there a week in cold weather, so pretty sure there's nothing growing in there yet. Must be some deposits still. Anyhow, got to have that resolved, since that's 25 gallons of fresh water that I'm going to need to drink during the journey. Let's see. I've thought about having some kind of onboard filter that I'll just run drinking water through. We shall see. Relative to power consumption, I have been logging the equipment on board, or that I will have, getting the data on power consumption and their specs, as well as using the onboard meter that I installed, updating the power consumption, and to get a sense of what power utilization will be like during the day as well as during the night. And that's looking reasonably well, based on the planned battery capacity. With regard to sleeping on the trip, since I'll be solo, watches will be something to think about. My plan currently is to stay awake during the night and get my sleep during the day. At least that way, somebody else on another vessel that I approach will have a chance of seeing me if they're not listening for AIS. That way, I think it's the safest way to proceed. I tend to be a late person anyway, so sleeping during the day is no problem, and I can stay awake during the night. I think that'll be a fairly easy transition for me. By the way, what are you doing with your freedom?